The United States dollar is not just a piece of paper. It is the most powerful technology in the history of human civilization. It is the lifeblood of global finance, the silent engine of the USA economy, and the ultimate arbiter of value across the globe. Yet, most people treat this greenback with indifference, failing to realize that they are holding a masterpiece of engineering that survived wars, depressions, and a complete divorce from reality itself. To understand the dollar bill is to understand the rise of an empire. This is the story of how a humble promise of gold became the bedrock of the modern world, and why that very foundation is constantly fighting to survive. The story begins in the aftermath of the American Revolution, when the fledgling nation had no currency of its own and was drowning in debt. The creation of the dollar was not just a convenience, it was an act of national defiance. In 1792, the Coinage Act established the dollar based on the Spanish silver dollar, setting the stage for a decimal system that would eventually conquer the globe. But for over a century, the dollar was a chaotic, fragmented system. During the Civil War, the government issued greenbacks, fiat money with no gold backing, to fund the war effort. This was the first time the United States government asserted its right to print value out of thin air, a radical move that forever changed the relationship between the government, the bank, and the citizen. The true transformation of the dollar, however, occurred in 1913 with the passage of the Federal Reserve Act. This marked the shift from a decentralized system to one governed by a central bank. The dollar was no longer just a medium of exchange, it became a tool of economic policy. The Fed was created to stabilize the system, but it also granted the government the power to influence the money supply, setting the stage for the massive expansion of credit that would fuel the 20th century. During the Great Depression, the dollar was tested to its breaking point. In 1933, Franklin Roosevelt famously took the United States off the gold standard for domestic use, a move that sent shockwaves through the financial world. The dollar was no longer a claim on gold, it was a claim on the faith of the American government. The climax of the dollar's journey came in 1944 with the Bretton Woods Agreement. As World War II drew to a close, the world gathered to create a new financial order. The dollar was pegged to gold, and the world's currencies were pegged to the dollar. It was the birth of the global reserve currency. For the next few decades, the USA held the world's gold in its vaults, and the dollar became the bedrock of global trade. But this system was unsustainable. By the early 1970s, the sheer volume of dollars in circulation far exceeded the gold held in Fort Knox. The world began to lose confidence, and a run on the bank became inevitable. In August 1971, in what is now known as the Nixon Shock, President Richard Nixon effectively closed the gold window, unilaterally ending the convertibility of the dollar into gold. In a single dramatic afternoon, the world transitioned to a pure fiat system. The dollar was now supported by nothing but the military, the economic might, and the absolute trust of the United States. It was the ultimate financial gamble. Since 1971, the dollar has functioned entirely on the faith of the global financial system. It has enabled an era of unprecedented consumption, the globalization of trade, and the dominance of USA technological and financial markets. Today, the dollar stands at a new crossroads. The rise of digital assets, the shift in global geopolitical alliances, and the unprecedented levels of national debt have reignited the debate over the future of the dollar bill. Is the reserve currency of the world weakening, or is it merely evolving? As the Federal Reserve navigates an increasingly complex global economy, the dollar remains the ultimate barometer of our collective future. The history of the greenback is a reminder that value is not an inherent property of paper, but a social contract, a promise made by a nation and trusted by the world. It is the most dramatic story in human history because it is the story of our survival, our ambition, and the very money that connects us all.